world, let's chat it up. We're talking competitions, uniforms, and all of the above. It's the Cheer Mom, yes, the Cheer Mom podcast. Cheer Mom, yes, the Cheer Mom podcast. Cheer Moms, your podcast is on.
Who knows? I may or may not be live streaming on YouTube while I'm doing this. I doubt either of my YouTube subscribers will see it or care. We're just going to go with it. One day, maybe I'll get my life together. We've got broken cords. We've got cords going across the room. We've got our pets' heads are falling off. Not literally. That is for the younger ones listening. That is a quote from an old movie called Dumb and Dumber. I think that I'm about done trying to get my stuff together. I think I'm just going to surrender and say, this is my life. This is what it is. It's chaos and this is my crazy. Mostly I just needed to say that to myself because I make lists, I plan, I talk about it. I do everything that I can to have it together, and it's never together. It never works. Speaking of getting things together, talk about a somewhat controversial conversation mostly had in my house, and that is cleaning for the cleaning lady. I'm going to be upfront with you guys. I'm going to say I have somebody come every 2 weeks and do a cleaning of my house. It's a large house. I don't have to explain it. She's been cleaning my house for years. She's so sweet. She does little extra things for me sometimes, and she's never complained, not once. She's never said, can you buy more of this cleaning product? Like, she'll just use hers until I notice that, oh, we're out of that because I never use it. But I have this first world problem of this added stress the night before my cleaning lady is supposed to come because we've got to clean for the cleaning lady. Now, I never leave like dirty underwear or anything like that, but to what extent do you clean for the cleaning lady? My friends also have someone to come and clean their house, and their houses are practically spotless before the cleaning lady even walks through the door. We're just not, in the Wheeler household, we are not very neat and clean people. We're just not. It's chaotic. We drop one task and we're on to the next. Like, we don't have time to close out this other task. We've got to move on to the next thing. But every other Wednesday night, I'm like, what is happening? And I like to come home on Thursday, every other Thursday I love this. And that happens every time, no matter how much work that I do. But I just have this wired in need to make sure everything's right for the cleaning lady. And she's even walked into the house catching me doing dishes or picking things up. And she's even said, no, stop. That's my job. This is what I'm here for. Okay, I don't want you to feel taken advantage of. It's a whole thing. And I don't like to be home, even though I work from home mostly. I don't like to be home when she's here because then I really feel guilty, like a lady of luxury. Like, I'm home. Why can't I be mopping the floors? I'm working, and then there's the whole ADHD thing of once I get into the groove of something, like cleaning, I keep doing it. And then we're just cleaning side by side. I'm like purging closets and organizing things. And I'm like, none of this would be happening if I didn't have a cleaning lady. Is that a good or a bad thing? What say you? What do you guys think? My husband thinks I'm crazy. He's like, why are we cleaning for the cleaning lady? And I'm like, it is not her job to pick up your dirty clothes. It is not her job we're just going to leave it at that. We're just going to leave it at, there are some things around our house that really needs to be our responsibility that no human should have to deal with. He's okay. That I can understand, but you don't need to take out the trash or whatever it is. You're going a little too far. Maybe this might be the least relatable story that I've ever told on the podcast. I don't know. You tell me.
Do you want to get that high pony looking slick and clean every time? Well, whether it's competition hair, getting that super clean look for your choreography, or even just that cute, trendy low bun for going out with friends, Slick Hair Company is your answer. Slick Hair Company is the founder of the original Slick Stick, and they also provide high-quality hair care, hair accessories, and styling products that will help you to achieve the perfect style and look. I used their wax stick for that middle part low bun look, and it was awesome. I was even able to curl my hair the next day without washing it, and my hair wasn't all greasy and gross. Founded by a female entrepreneur, Slick Hair uses cruelty-free ingredients that smooth all hair types. They hydrate and strengthen your hair. They promote hair growth and leave your hair feeling fresh and not greasy or sticky. Visit slickhaircompany.com/thecheermomblog and use code thecheermomblog for 10% off your entire order. That's slickhaircompany.com/thecheermomblog and use code thecheermomblog for 10% off. Your perfect style awaits with Slick Hair Company.
Speaking of relatable stories, today I'm going to go through basically all the times that I freaked out as a cheer mom. I have some core memory stories of my own, and then I reached out to my daughter's longtime coach and cheer director and reached out to my daughter Abby as well and said, do you remember any times that I really flipped out as a cheer mom? And they were pretty quick to have some answers. So I'm going to tell those little stories in today's episode. If you can't relate, hopefully you get a little bit of a laugh. Okay, I'm going to try to go in chronological order because that is what makes the most sense to me. And there are some stories that I can't talk about college and then turn around and talk about something that happened when she was on a level 2 team. So chronological order. My daughter says that I freaked out about red lipstick on her white uniform, and I can only surmise. I just can't picture that I would do that. I probably got frustrated, as we all do, and that either happened on her high school uniform, which I just don't think that would have happened. So it had to have happened her very first year of all-star cheerleading at a D1 gym. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I always wanted to be the mom that I don't know why I remember this. And I don't think my mom was mean about when we spilled stuff. When kids spill on the carpet or make a mess on the carpet and mom is having a bad day or is stressed out, sometimes we overreact. And I think that my mom did that once or twice where it's, I told you not to bring your drink in here, like regular mom stuff. There was a commercial on TV around that time when I was a kid, and I can't remember. It was one of the major carpet cleaning companies, and it was not the professionals. It was like a stain remover, right? So in the commercial, the kids are like, Mom, we spilled grape juice on the floor. And mom yells from the other room, that's okay. And they we tracked dirt in. That's okay. And it's because she has this stain remover for her carpet. And I always remember going, when I'm a mom, that's what I'm going to be like. I'm going to be like, that's okay. And 9 times out of 10, I have done that where I've been like, it's not great, but it's just carpet. It's not the end of the world. And I know moms. I have friends who are moms who it is the end of the world. And I'm like, it sucks. Please be careful, but it's okay. 9 times out of 10. 90% of the time. So apparently this lipstick on the white uniform was one of my 10% that I just didn't hold it together. If that happened now, first of all, she does her own laundry. But if you have a light colored uniform and dark colored lipstick, Zote soap, it's a borax bar. It's like pure natural laundry soap, game changer. And then the holy trinity of cleaning products, I use this on just about everything. Color test it before you go full on, but I use Dawn dish soap. It's a combination of Dawn dish soap, hydrogen peroxide, and baking soda. Or you can switch out the hydrogen peroxide with vinegar if it's like a smell, but it's so not a big deal, the red lipstick now, because of these little hacks that you learn along the way. So hopefully that helps you. Now, this next one, I don't think that this is a hard and fast rule anymore, if it's a rule at all. But back in 2014, 2015, it was a USASF rule, nay, dare I say, law, that cheerleaders cannot and should not have color on their fingernails. No nail polish. None whatsoever. And our gym, being the rule followers that they are, made that a gym rule. And they were like, it's not a us rule, it's a USASF rule. Who knows? Maybe it was never a USASF rule, it's just a gym rule and they were flubbing us. But either way, I am a huge rule follower. And it was a big deal. You do not have nail polish on your fingernails. Never mind the acrylic nails or the dip nails, because that was going to cause injury. Now, I don't know what changed since then, but the girls have their nails done all the time. And I still have PTSD when I see girls at a competition with nails done. I'm like, is that allowed? It just feels so weird. My daughter's senior year of all-star cheer, the girls would all get their nails done before the competition day. And I'm like, this still feels weird to me. It was a rule. I don't know why I latched onto it so hard, but the Friday night before competition, hey, did you take your nail polish off? Hey, no, you can't get your nails done. You have a competition in 2 weeks. And I was always checking on her nail polish. One time she got past me. I don't know that she really did it on purpose. I think she just forgot, and I forgot to ask her. And we're at the cheer competition. We are standing in the VIP area waiting for our next team. And I noticed that she has nail polish on her fingers. She's 12 or 13 at the time. And you just don't tell 12 or 13-year-old girls what to do, especially in a stressful situation. And competitions are stressful, overstimulating situations. I see nail polish on her fingers and she's got her hands up on the stanchion, right? She's like right in the front row. She's got her hands on the thing, ready to watch the next team. And up comes her coach and our cheer director and hide your hands. If she sees them, we're going to get fined or we're going to get in trouble. She's like, Mom, it's fine. No, hide your hands. And so I grab her hands because she refused to hide them. And I'm so afraid that we're going to get in trouble. I grab her wrists and I like pull them behind her. And she's fighting me, of course. So it looks like I'm like low key, like abusing her in my mind because we're like fighting and I'm like, just hide your hands. And another cheer mom that I barely knew was like walking by, and I freaked out for the rest of the evening thinking that this cheer mom thinks that like I physically abused my kid. Nothing ever came of the nail thing, but I made that a big deal and I freaked out. This next story comes from my daughter's longtime cheer coach, the cheer director for almost her whole time with peak athletics and cheer athletics. And I think I've talked a little bit about this before, but there was one season where she was pulled up from a level 3 team to a level 4 team. My daughter was pulled up to the level 4 team, which is she was ready for it, but that's a big jump. I don't know. I feel like the level back then was like 2016. It was not as scary, but the level of difficulty, of course, was more. And this was a very talented team. And looking back, Abby was completely and perfectly capable, but I was nervous for her that, gosh, that's a lot of pressure to be pulled onto this team in the middle of the season. It was like December. So really the beginning of the competition season, pulled up to this team. You've got to catch up. Like she had the skill, but blah, blah, blah. So I'm nervous for her that you got to rise to the occasion. It's a big deal. And she took it very seriously too. And she knew it was a big deal. But our director said that I freaked out a little bit. And you never had like a crazy cheer mom level of freak out. But if I had to name a couple of times, this is one of them. And it was when she got pulled up to that team. And I think I've talked about it before when I cried as a cheer mom, because I think her first competition, it was like ATC Seattle. Yeah. So a big competition. Her first event with them was this. And she has the most beautiful layout. And for some reason, and she would land it flawlessly every time. I've never really seen her flub a layout, but for some reason, I thought that I saw her touch down on this layout, and the team otherwise had a perfect and flawless performance. I believe they won that year, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that they won. But before all that happened, I thought that my daughter was the reason for a deduction. It turned out that wasn't the case, but I was forever and ever nervous when she was on that team because a level 3 and a level 4 team these days, I feel like you should have your level 5 skills if you are going to cross on a level 4 and a level 3 team. And I don't think was particularly the case when my daughter was crossing over on those teams. So I was a nervous wreck. And then, of course, there is the ever famous staple story from, I don't know what year this was, but I was a relatively new cheer mom. I was trying to make friends. My daughter wanted me to hang out with more cheer moms. You're always by yourself or you don't hang out. You should hang out with so-and-so's mom and such as mom. I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I had and still have a measure of social anxiety. And I don't love parties. I don't love groups of people. I tend to not do well in large groups of women. How did I become the cheer mom? Blah. I have no idea. But girls' nights where there's 5 or 6 women, I do better one-on-one. I tend to get lost in a crowd. I really do. I get lost in a crowd. I hang back. I'm quiet. It's just how I am. If other people are talking loud and interrupting, like I will stop my story and be like, okay, never mind. Maybe that's why I'm so good at podcasting because there's no one here to interrupt me. I just prefer to be by myself and talk to myself. I don't know. It sounds like a therapist discussion. Anyway, I mustered up the confidence and the social battery to go to this team bonding. It was a holiday party. And it was this big deal, big to do. All the girls were going. It was a potluck. It was in this really nice part of town. And it was a pajama party. And everyone was hyping it up. Come in your pajamas. We're going to have crafts and we're going to have holiday treats. And it's going to be cozy, fun time. So I went out and I bought a nice, crisp, new matching Ralph Lauren pajama set. And we brought our little fuzzy socks or whatever the small gift exchange item was. And I was ready to put myself out there and be with the cool cheer moms. We pull into this neighborhood and it's at the house of now a dear friend, but we're talking Tim Tebow's neighborhood level. There is a security guard and there is a gate that you have to have the combination to. And the roads are like cobblestone. It's a very nice area. So I pull up to the house. I'm all ready to hang and we walk in. It's this beautiful entryway. This house it seems like an interior decorator came in and redid the whole house for the holidays. It was bonkers. It looked like a model home for a Christmas magazine. And we walk in and the girls are all getting there and the moms are getting there. And I look around and all the girls are in their pajamas, but all of the moms are in cocktail attire. Let that sink in. And here I am, literally in slippers and a matching pajama set. Go sit. Literally in slippers and a matching pajama set. And the panic that overcame me is indescribable. And I run to the bathroom and I just start crying. I played it off. No one noticed that I ran to the bathroom, but I'm crying. I'm calling my husband and I'm like, this is a nightmare. Everyone's in cocktail attire and I'm in my pajamas. And my husband's, just leave then. And I said, obviously I can't leave. It's a pajama party. It's obvious that I came here for the party. I don't just run around town running errands in my pajamas. What do I do? So I make the best of the situation. Luckily, Whitney had wine and cocktails and we all had a laugh. I said, hey, I thought this was a pajama party. So it's one of my favorite stories to tell. and we laugh about it. I just saw that cheer mom, Whitney, last week, and she was laughing about it. I was laughing about it. But wow, it was traumatic, and I completely freaked out. We all think that we don't fit in as cheer moms. We think that we don't fit in with the group. I actually physically, there was visual evidence that I did not fit in with the group that night. I need you to lay down till I'm done. Lay down. No, Barley, lay down. No, down. The next comes from my daughter. There was another year. Yeah, this is not in chronological order anymore. There was another year where she was a crossover. They liked using her on all the time. It was an honor and a stressor. You can go back and listen to my episodes about crossovers. But she was crossing, I think it was the first year that she ever crossed over. She was crossing over from a level 2 to a level 3. They were both competing at Summit, I believe. And it was so stressful because they had different hair or different uniforms. I think they had a day 1 and a day 2 uniform, and sometimes the teams would like flip flop. So depending on superstitions or look or whatever, we had the shorts and we had the capris. And so she had to have her shorts for one team and her capris for the other team. There was a different bow, you know how it is. And it was my first year of experiencing that. And those teams competed really close together. And I'm like, Abby, how are you going to change? How are you going to do this? What's going to happen? How do we get you to, I can't go backstage. How are we going to, and she's like, dude, it's going to be fine. And I even tracked down and even maybe stalked her team rep. And I'm like, do you have this figured? Like, how are we going to do this? I don't know how to make this happen. And I got you. It's fine. We've got it all figured out. I gave her capris to this coach, and so was going to help her, and that's my job. And I was like, oh, wait. But apparently my daughter said I really freaked out about the logistics of crossing over. And I don't blame myself. It can be stressful. I would say make sure you're communicating with your team rep about your daughter's or your son's crossing over. Boys, it's easier because usually they just have one uniform or one look. But communicate with your team rep, communicate with your coaches, because you never know if there's a breakdown in communication and they have 2 minutes to change. The coach might look at the team rep and say, I thought you were doing it. And the team rep might look at the coaches and say, I thought you were doing it. And they both might look at the parent and say, I thought you were going to do it. So make sure you have a plan for your crossover if he or she needs a uniform change or hair change or what have you, or even to get from one hall to the next, because sometimes people forget. They're like, oh, where's Susie? Oh, she's performing right now. And thankfully there's like that one athlete on every team that just knows where everyone is and what they're doing. Shout out to Charlie. When I was a team rep, she was like, we had, I don't know, like 5 or 6 crossovers on that team that year. And she's, oh, so-and-so is competing. And then so-and-so is warming up. And then they'll all be here at this time. And I was like, I don't know what I would do without you. And she was like 7. So have a plan for your crossover. Another Summit story that is burned into my brain. This is a short one, and the veteran cheer moms will know Orlando traffic is horrible. Even if you're staying right by ESPN, it could sometimes take 30 to 40 minutes to get to the venue. We were stuck in traffic, and my daughter humbly and quietly said, I think my lanyard is in the hotel room. And I think this is the only time in my memory that I ever swore at my daughter, because you cannot get into the venue without your lanyard. So we had to go back, and she missed almost all of the warm up. She got there like 10 minutes before they competed. And it was the most stressful moment of our cheer life. And when it was all over, I fell to the ground and cried. I had to recover from that one. Athletes, do not forget your lanyard. Moms, staple the lanyard to their hair or something. Then there was the season where Abby had the season-ending injury where she broke her hand, had to have surgery, had to have a pin put in her hand. It was a 12-week recovery. It was awful. She had to miss UCA. She couldn't compete at Summit. It was devastating. And her very first day back on the mat, like literally the day after she was cleared by her doctor, was evaluation day for her. And I was all kinds of nervous. It was the only time that I remember being a helicopter with her coaches, like having a conversation with them beforehand and what are you going to do and what are you going to have her do? And I wasn't sure about if she was going to have mental blocks, if she was going to freak out, if she was going to re-break her hand, all the things that go through your head about what could happen. And of course, she's feeling the pressure of trying out and still wanting to level up or at least stay on the same level. I think that was even a conversation. And I've never wanted or needed to be in an evaluation with her and watch her try out. But literally that was one where I took my liberty and I like opened the door and peeked my head through the curtain and made eye contact with her coach. And I'm like, is she okay? Is everything okay? And that was like a big no, like you don't interrupt tryouts. But I did because I was freaking out about how she would do after an injury. Spoiler, she did awesome. She made a fantastic team. And as a result of her injury, I've talked about this before, as a result of her injury, she really could only work on her leg strength and work on jumps and conditioning and strengthening her legs, and has prettiest jumps ever. And at one point had the best jumps in the gym. So good came out of it. There was another season where it was before we were cheer athletics. We were fairly small. I think it was hovering over 100 athletes, maybe a little less. And by a series of coincidence, almost all of the athletes that could have been worlds eligible by skill either went to high school or went to a different gym or stopped doing all-star cheer altogether. And we did not have a worlds team that year. And I was on the phone with people going, what's going on? What happened? What am I missing? And it was really, none of them powwowed. It wasn't a coup or anything. It just happened that way. And Abby was on the bubble as far as she maybe could have been on a worlds team, but she could have used one more year, not on a level 4 or 5. Not on a worlds team. But I'm like, if there's not one this year, how are we going to have one next year when she's ready? And I really freaked out about that. I was like trying to get people to come back. It was the whole thing. And as it turned out, that was her COVID year. So they really didn't even get to compete but once or twice that year. And it was also the season where they announced that we would become cheer athletics. So we gained a whole ton of athletes after that. And she made a world's team the next season and the season after that, and everything worked out. Coming close to the end here, but man, a lot of these have to do with like injury. My daughter, as it turns out, has like porcelain fingers. She's a very strong base, but it seems like every season had some kind of finger injury, whether it was new or persisting, or we didn't think it was broken, but it had a little fracture, but there's nothing that they could do, just lay off of it. And I'm not doing that. I cheer. I'm a base. Like I'm not going to stop for a broken finger. And I was still in that. This is an interesting transition in parenthood when your kids are younger and they're looking to you to help make decisions with and for them, or just flat out for them. No one prepares you for the time between when they're children and when they're officially adults, like that junior, senior year of high school. They're pretty independent and have opinions of their own. And we're still in the mode of, you need me to survive, which is, it turns out it's not true. They need you, but they don't need you to survive. And every time Abby would get injured, I would go into that, okay, like you need me to survive. And so we go to the doctor and the doctor says it's broken. Don't do cheer. He was like, don't do it for the rest of the season, or no, you can't compete in it this weekend. And she's forget that. Like, I've competed on broken fingers before. I'm doing this. And I'm like, we owe it to your coach to tell her what's going on and let her know. And this is what the doctor said. And I don't know if they have a liability and blah, 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 blah. And her coach ultimately was like, it's up to her. We will figure it out if she feels like she can't compete. But ultimately, if she wants to, then we can let her. And this happened 2 seasons in a row, or maybe twice in the same season, where Abby was like, I'm taping them and we're just moving on. There was even a point in time where she knew she had a broken finger and there's nothing that they're going to do about it. Like, I'm not even going to the doctor at this point. I'm taping it up and we'll worry about it when the season's over. And I flipped out. So Abby doesn't know this, so I don't know. No, she might know this now. So we had a conversation together with her coach about, hey, just got done with the doctor. It's broken, blah, 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 blah. And Abby was telling her coach, I'm going to compete. I turned around and called her coach after that when Abby wasn't around. And I'm like, I just don't know what to do. And is this the right thing? And you've got to let her decide what she can do. It's her pain level. It's her body. And at this point, she needs to be the one to make the decision. And I'm like, yeah, that's too hard. I can't do that. So that was one, shout out to Chelsea. That was one that she was like, yeah, when you were trying to decide whether or not to let her compete, and you were really stressed about that. And that's so true. But that was more about, like, it was less about her losing her finger or further injuring her finger, and more about, like, at what point do I let go? And at what point do I put my foot down and say, no, this isn't good for you. I'm vetoing you. And I guess that wasn't a situation. I even went in the Facebook groups and was like, what would you do? And there's so many stories that right, wrong, or indifferent. There's so many stories of, like, cheer athletes doing way more on way worse injury, saying, heck no, I'm not going in for brain surgery. I'm joking. Heck no, I'm not sitting this one out. I'm going to find a way to compete. And it's just incredible what these athletes are willing to put themselves through to be there for their team, to be on that competition mat. And I certainly don't blame them, but, then as a parent, it's like, at what point should we step in? So that was a big moment for me, but I think it did help me let go in other areas of parenting an adult, because she turned 18 not long after that. And they're on their own. You're there as a safety net, but they get to make their own decisions and they don't have to involve us. And that's a crazy, weird feeling. No one prepares you for that, man. No one prepares you. And lastly, probably one of my biggest freakouts is I had to miss her first college game day as a college cheerleader, because I got COVID. And I had managed to avoid getting COVID the entire pandemic. And then 2022, randomly, I am down and out with COVID on her very first college game day. And I was beside myself because I couldn't be there for that. And she was fine. The cheer moms, shout out to the CU cheer moms who took video of her and sent pictures, and I just cried all night long. And I still am like, I can't believe I missed her first college game. She's fine, but I'm like, I missed it. She'll never have a first college game again. And it was actually a cold and rainy game day, and it got delayed. And my husband was like, if there's ever a college game day to miss, it would be this one. But I still felt so guilty and just flipped out because I had to miss it. And cheer moms miss cheer competitions all the time. And their kids turn out fine, but I just really had a time with it. So those are my stories of the times that I freaked out as a cheer mom. Again, I hope that if you can't relate, you at least have a few giggles at my expense. We all have those moments where life just gets to us, or the stress of cheerleading gets to us, and we freak out, and that is okay. Tell me about your freakouts. Join us in the Facebook group at the Cheer Mom Hive. You can leave a review, send me an email, send me a DM on Instagram. What are some times that you have freaked out as a cheer mom? Love you guys so much. And as always, remember, at the end of the day, it is just cheerleading, even if you missed their first college game day.